Hello, Zuko here. If you don't know, my name is Jess. I go by Zimmy on the internet because one time I was 15. So last year I made a video talking about filling a whole shelf with books that I wanted to read to unhaul. The link will be up in the cards somewhere. Or is it that way? Up in the cards somewhere? I don't know. And while I could have completed that task in the spring, I actively didn't. I finally read that shelf of books that I want to unhaul. So I'm going to take you through it so I can unhaul an entire shelf of books. So, okay, I can't pick this up. Here's the shelf of, here's the box, I guess. Here's the box of books in question. I don't know, should we do this the order that I read them, or should we do this the opposite of the order that I read them? I don't know. We're going to do this from first read to last read, I think. Okay, let's go. The first book on the shelf that I read was Those That Wake by Jessie Karp. This is a novel set in a dystopia where everything is technology, and they're like kind of brainwashed by it, and this is about a couple people who wake up from that and want to destroy the like people who are running the technology, I believe. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars, and I'm unhauling this as well as the sequel, which I did not read. Then I read Ask the Dark by Henry Turner. This is a book about a boy who is trying to figure out who has been killing boys in his town. It is told as if he is remembering it, so it is full of improper grammar and interesting word use and a lot of contractions and apostrophes. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't as good as I was hoping, and again, I'm unhauling this. Then I DNF'd The Infects by Sean Bodian. This book was awful. This is a zombie book where I believe everyone is infected by eating chicken from this one chicken plant, and it turns people into zombies. This had so many like random homophobic comments and just like characters who just were assholes in an unpleasant way, and I didn't like it at all. I hated it. The cover's kind of fun, but if you look really closely, like everything is a chicken, so that's less fun. So yeah, I read this. I'm unhauling it. Then I tried to read I Am Not a Serial Killer by Dan Wells. I tried to read this when I was a teenager, and I stopped after a big twist. And I stopped again after the same big twist this time, even though I was prepared for it, because it changes the genre of this book, and I just wasn't interested in it. So I'm unhauling this, as well as its 2 sequels. And this 4th Dan Wells book, as I believe this one is like demonizing mental illness a little bit, and I'm clearly not interested in Dan Wells books, so these ones are going next. Then I read 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I don't know why this book got a Netflix series. I don't know why this book got big enough to have discourse around it. This is a book about angsty teenage wish fulfillment where they really hope that when they die, they make everybody around them miserable, which is what angsty teens who are feeling really depressed and unwanted kind of want. And it felt like really validating to those thoughts. Like if teenagers just kill themselves, then they can ruin everyone around them's life who made them miserable. I gave this 1 star because like that's not a good thing to be telling kids, and this was just icky. This felt icky. So goodbye to this. Then I read the Maze Runner series by James Dashner. I enjoyed this series enough that I ended up buying them in hardbacks, so I am unhauling these, but I did like them. I believe I gave them all about 3 stars. But man, can this man not write women? They're all awful, like boring plot devices to make the men seem more interesting. So there's that. I also then tried to read The Kill Order, which is a prequel novel that has nothing to do with the characters from the original series, and I hated this. I DNF'd it because it was so boring. I don't care about these series, but this tells the story of why the world is a dystopian in the Maze Runner series. Then I started off the new year, 2020, by reading the Ashes Trilogy by Ilsa J. Bick. I feel like these books are gaslighting me because I read them and I didn't really like them, but I did give this book a 3 star, this book a 3 star, and this book a 2 star. They were trying really hard to be really edgy and be like, well, if this was a book, this would happen, but it's not. It is. And there's no solution, but at the same time, I kind of want to keep them now. Like, I feel like maybe I have Stockholm Syndrome with these books, because like these are big. Apparently, like I looked, and this is like a 20-something hour audiobook, and like the rest of them are like 13. So this is a huge book, and they made the margins smaller and stuff. So maybe I just spent so much time with it that I bonded even though I didn't like it. So I'm not actually sure if I'm unhauling these and stuff yet. Unfortunately, I wish I knew. But that's how I felt about these guys. Then I read Cracked by M.K. Walton. I gave this a 2-star. This is a very surface level look into like mental illness and suicidal feelings. And I feel like this could have, there's a hair on it, I feel like this could have been done really well, and it just wasn't. It kind of was set up in a like, if you're sad, everybody will save you and you'll be okay because other people will do it for you. And like, that's just not realistic that other people are going to be able to save your life. I wasn't a fan of this. So that's this one. Then I read Monument 14 by Emmy Laybourne. This is a dystopian where I believe a gas is let out that turns everybody crazy. And this is a bunch of teens who are on the bus in the morning, or I guess kids who are on the bus in the morning, and they end up at like a Walmart. And they block in the Walmart and make sure none of the air can get out and blah, blah, blah. The whole thing takes place in like this fictional Walmart, which was incredibly boring. There was a lot of like just obsessing over this one hot girl, and I didn't care about this book at all. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. So along with this, I am unhauling its 2 sequels that I have no interest in reading. Then I read In the After by Demetria Lunetta. This is a dystopian. Do you see a trend here? I bought a lot of dystopians when I was a teen, and now I'm reading them and not enjoying them. This is a dystopian where aliens have landed and very quickly taken over the Earth, and this one girl lived in a very secure house for whatever reason, and managed to survive it. And eventually she comes across a compound, and this is one of those like, what if man is the real monster? Ah! Books, because they're all like that. And I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. So with this, I am also unhauling its sequel, In the End, because I don't care to read it. Then I tried to read News from the Dead by Mary Hooper. This is a book about a woman who is hanged for murder because she has a miscarriage, and it is told in the dual perspective of her life and growing up and to that point, and also from the perspective of her and her autopsy, where she's like kind of aware of what's going on. So this is historical fiction. I don't love historical fiction. I was like 100 pages in and went, wow, I'm too bored to read this. So that's this. I tried to listen to Border Town by Holly Black, or I guess edited by Holly Black. This is a short story collection set in the Border Town universe, which I'm not really sure what that means. But it sounded interesting when I picked it up, but I don't like short stories, so I didn't enjoy this. I got the audiobook, and the first short story was a solid 3 hours long, and that's not a short story at this point. So it's so boring that I stopped after that one because it wasn't for me. Next, I read Proxy by Alex London. I actually kind of enjoyed this book. This was a dystopian future set in a world where there is a very big class divide, where the poor owe their years of debt to rich people, and the rich buy them as proxies so that the poor people get punished for the rich people's crimes. So I enjoyed this because it was queer, and there's not a lot of dystopians with queer main characters. This might be the only one I've found. I gave this a 3.5, but I don't plan on reading the sequel, and I don't think I'm ever going to reread it. So with this, I'm also unhauling Guardians by Alex London, the sequel to Proxy. And lastly, I tried to read Distant Waves by Suzanne Wayne. This is a historical fiction about the Titanic. Apparently it doesn't get to the Titanic until about 200 pages in. This follows a family of 5 daughters and their mom, as well as Nikola Tesla for some reason. It just felt very convoluted and also boring historical fiction, and I didn't want to continue it, so I didn't. So yeah, that is my entire shelf of books that I'm unhauling, that I read this year and a bit of last year. I thought I was going to maybe do this again after I finished this shelf, but I don't think I am, as it puts a lot of pressure on me to read books that I'm not super interested in, and I do that on my own. So I don't want to pick a bunch of books that I don't want to read when I'll just pick them up randomly throughout my shelves. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope maybe that was interesting, and I will see you whenever I do my next video.